Hey guys, it's Leah and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing another episode of Star Wars Controversies, as you can see by the title of this video. But before we get started, I just want to get a few things out of the way. First and foremost, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel down below. And second of all, I will be replying to everybody's comments. I know I haven't been as good at it as I usually am, so I just wanted to let you guys know I will be up in the comments later, replying to all you guys, talking to you guys, listening to what you have to say about today's controversy, etc. So as you can see by the title, this week's Star Wars controversy is on Star Wars spin-offs. Now, Star Wars spin-offs is a really interesting concept, mainly because our latest spin-off, Solo, did terribly in box office. And when I say terribly, I mean it didn't do as expected. So, obviously, the news that Solo did not do so well kind of put to a halt the other Star Wars spin-offs that had been circulating between Lucasfilm and Disney, etc. I remember in a few other, I believe some Fandom Fridays in the past, and when I spoke about Solo in past videos, I did talk a little bit about these spin-offs that had been cropping up here and there, or that people were speculating about, namely another Solo film, what was some of the other ones? They were doing, like, they wanted to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi film, they wanted to have a Boba Fett film, etc., etc. Essentially just draining and bleeding the franchise for more spin-offs. Now, part of me, of course, I don't want to say I was glad that Solo tanked, because I'm not. I always I'm hopeful that the movie will be good and that, they prove everybody wrong, essentially. But having the film tank the way it did, or not do as expected, definitely made everybody rethink the spin-off idea. And when I say rethink, I don't mean that they're not going to do it, because I know they think it's very lucrative, so they probably still will come up with spin-offs in the future, not to mention the way they tried to reintroduce Darth Maul into the Solo franchise so that it sets up for the next film, essentially, which still did not get everybody as excited as they probably hoped for. So while they still will probably continue to do spin-offs, hopefully they are going to start looking at them from a different direction. Now, I personally, whether they're going to do them or not, really wish that they wouldn't. I don't know about you guys, but there are certain things in a franchise and in a fandom that I don't need to see. An example in Solo, if you guys haven't seen it or have seen it, it's not really a spoiler, but we find out how Han got his last name. I don't know about you, and I know it seems so insignificant, but I did not need to know that. And that was kind of like a buzzkill right off the bat in the beginning of the film. I just assumed, like everybody else probably, that Solo was his last name. Makes sense, really. I mean, why wouldn't we think that? The film never gave us cause to believe that it wasn't his last name, so they just decided that they were going to put that backstory in there. And the heck came along with a lot of other unnecessary things that I didn't need to know that kind of was a major buzzkill. And that's one of the reasons I don't particularly like spin-offs of specific characters. Focusing on specific characters, like with Boba Fett, or Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're going to create all this backstory that they could have left ambiguous, and we didn't really need to know. And it kind of, sometimes when you over-explain things, it's too much of a good thing, I guess, so to say. Because, it would be great to have more Obi-Wan screen time, but also creating, oh, did you know that that's not his real name, and this is how he got it? I don't need to know that. So, yeah, I am not an advocate for really any spin-offs of Star Wars, except there is an exception, and I will tell you why. I wouldn't mind a Lando spin-off or a Lando standalone film as long as Donald Glover continued his role as Lando. And here's why. I definitely think that although Donald Glover brought in his own elements to Lando, it really worked. And Lando is one of those characters in the films that he wasn't a main character, but he definitely made an impact and left an impact as that super awesome space pimp. But, so he doesn't have a lot of groundwork laid down for him. So I wouldn't be as upset if they created backstory and characterization for Lando in a standalone film, because it's not going against things that we just assume to be true, because we don't know too much about Lando to begin with. That I wouldn't be too upset about, but as for the rest of the standalone / spin-offs for the Star Wars franchise, I'm really not a big fan. I would rather have them come up with new things in the Star Wars universe, not new things pertaining to the whole Skywalker legacy. I don't need new stories branching off of that, please. They've already, done enough. But new things in the Star Wars universe, per se, like, oh yeah, heck yeah, I would love to see a Guardians of the Galaxy type, like, spin-off where it's just a bunch of, like, bounty hunters or, like, something cool like that. That I wouldn't mind seeing, and maybe throwing in a few Easter eggs here and there for the Star Wars fans to tie it into the universe. I think that would be awesome. But as for seeing, Obi-Wan trek through an adventure and learn these made-up backstories about him, besides the Clone Wars, because I know some of you might be like, well, in the Clone Wars, okay, I get it, but, like, that still still followed a structure, and if you compare the Clone Wars to Solo: A Star Wars Story, it's pretty obvious what I mean. So, I think I'm going to stop ranting. Wow, I have 2 ranting videos in a row. That's going to wrap up today's video, guys. Make sure you leave comments down below of what you think about Star Wars spin-offs. If you like them, if you don't like them, which ones you want, which ones you don't want. Like, what spin-offs do you not want at all? If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more videos, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.